Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our third workshop in our Camp Explore series this summer. I'm very pleased to welcome Bats Langley for a monster laboratory. Halloween comes early every year when we do this. As always, our workshops are made possible by the generosity of Bud and Roz Siegel. Thank you so much. We're really excited. I'm going to just go over a couple of logistics for the in-house group. We have 2 additional workshops coming up, a coding workshop, well, actually 2 coding workshops. The next one is turtle art and art logo, that all you need is a computer with a keyboard. We'd like to see you there. So today, we're gonna let our imaginations run wild. I'll let Bats tell you more, but for those on site, I have a table full of wonderful supplies when you start creating your monster. I just ask that you come up by table, wash your hands in some hand sanitizer, and then select the equipment that you need. I also have a glue gun station in case we need to glue gun, but you have a glue stick and glue dots at your table. So try and use those as well. If you have any sort of troubleshooting you need to do, you also come to our front table here. But I don't want to waste much time talking, and I will let Bats not waste our time talking. So, Bats Langley is a painter, sculptor, writer, illustrator, toy designer, and creator of many things. Mr. Langley is a Rhode Island School of Design grad. He is a regular contributor to Spider, Ladybug, and Cricket magazines, and has been a frequently featured cover artist for them. His art has been shown in galleries in New York City, Los Angeles, Boston, Hartford, Providence, Hangzhou, China, and at the New Britain Museum of American Art and the United States Capitol Building. Mr. Langley's work has also been included in many shows where he has been shown alongside some of his idols, who you just might recognize, such as Maurice Sendak, Tim Burton, Charles Addams, Charles Schultz. Mr. Langley is the illustrator of Groggle's Monster Valentine, and he has a second Groggle book coming out called Groggle's Monster Halloween. He is the author-illustrator of Alice's Adventures in #Wonderland, and also the cover artist for Scary Stories to Tell on the Pod, hosted by Saturday Night Live writer Anna Dresden and the series Miracle Workers writer Andrew Farmer. So without further ado, I'd like you to welcome Bats Langley, and let's get creative.
All right, students. All right, so I'm not going to call you students. I'm going to call you monster makers, okay? So every time I say monster makers, listen, okay? Everyone's silent, okay? Because I have an instruction to give to you. So, all right, everyone get up from your seats. All right, we're going to stretch out a little bit, all right? All right, just stretch out, move a little bit, move your arms, do a jumping jack, all right? Just get yourself, all right? What else can we do? Clap. All right? Because we're going to clap for everyone who comes up today to show some of their work and their pieces for each one. So, all right, so everyone sit down, okay? All right, so everyone who's here today must like monsters. Does everyone here like monsters? Yeah? Pretty much? You like cute ones, okay. Well, today we'll do a lot of different kinds of monsters, and we're going to explore different kinds of monsters. Some of them cute, some of them scary. Let me just bring up. Let's see, one sec. All right. So monster is an animal or plant of abnormal form or structure. okay? Now that's the definition. Now there's so many different kinds of monsters. Here's an example of just dragons. Dragons are considered a monster, right?
I was born on the dragon.
You were born on the dragon? Now let's look at these different kinds of dragons that we have up here. We have medieval dragons, right? We have Chinese dragons, and we have Mayan dragons. Now, what's very interesting about the dragon is, if you think about it, some of these cultures have created a dragon and may have not come in contact with that culture. So, for instance, the Mayans were creating very similar dragons types to what the Chinese were creating. But yet,
Our family is like feeling like I love that Chinese dragons really like.
so it's very interesting how some cultures create similar monsters, and yet those cultures have not come in contact with each other. Sometimes it comes in contact with trade, like medieval dragons sometimes have taken from Chinese interpretations, but the Mayan dragon is one of those that have just, was created without contact with, Chinese creation. And here's also another type of dragon, which are mer people and sea monsters. This one right here is a Fiji Mermaid, which you can actually see at the P.T. Barnum Museum in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is pretty close by. These are different versions. Now, as you can see, some of the mermaids are very pretty, and then there's some monstrous mermaids. And over here now, can you tell me what these creatures are up here? Just show your hands if you want to throw out an answer. Go ahead. What was that? Well, they're some of them, no, they're not constellations, but if you look closely, so that one up there, right, that monster on the very, very top, right, this one right here, that monster is actually what people thought a dolphin looked like. Could you believe that? So that's what people thought dolphins looked like in the water. When they came back from trips, over, going in, the seas and big explorations across to many lands, people, documented what they thought were these creatures in the water. And what's very interesting is, look at these giant, like lobsters. Could you imagine a lobster that big? And then you see all these other things too, like this one right here, I was reading was an interpretation of a sea lion. Now, we know what sea lions look like. They're not that big, right? And so then there's other fish too. Other sea animals here that, like this one right here is like half horse and half, mermaid and it's just a whole bunch of different things. But again, these were all interpretations of what people thought were in the waters. Because again, there weren't scuba diving in the water, so they couldn't swim with these monsters or creatures, right? So they were only seeing the creature probably, when it came up for air, right? And when it did come up for air, of course, you only saw a certain part of that creature. So you probably only saw the top of its head, maybe a fin, maybe a back fin, and that's all you saw. Now, we're going to go into Greek monsters right here. Now, do you guys like Greek monsters? Yeah, right? And a lot of our Greek monsters that we have are also interpreted in like some of our comic books that we have, right? So what's really cool is, as you can see with Greek monsters, you have Medusa over here, and you have, of course, you're going to have, and all of these are just part of the mythology, right? Each character, each monster has a story, right? Medusa has a story, right? She has a big story, right? Where what happens with Medusa? If you look at Medusa, what happens? Yes. So you turn into stone, is what someone said. So, each character and with these mythologies has their own story. And fairies and wood creatures, right? So what's interesting about fairies and wood creatures, right, is we think of them as these cute little things, right? These cute little fairies that come up and, flutter around, but then sometimes they can be pretty scary or, pretty, right? Or they could just, be just ghoulish, right? Trolls, right? Trolls and goblins. They're monsters too, right? And here we go back into trolls and goblins, right? Now these trolls here, right? Remember treasure trolls? Or trolls, that like the troll dolls, right? These are the basis of troll dolls. Isn't that wild? And they're from Scandinavia. And a lot of the trolls do come from Scandinavia because they all have stories of trolls within their mythology. Now, that's another thing too about monster stories is there's something called mythology. It's a basis of stories for particular monsters, right? So we know that trolls and goblins, what? They live in the... Right. Someone said woods. So, of course, they live in the woods. They live under...
Caves?
They could definitely live in a cave. They could live under a hill. They could live under a bridge. They could live... Where else can trolls, you think, they could hide in? They could hide, they could burrow into dirt, of course. So the thing that's really interesting about creatures and monsters is that they all have ways of living within their environments. Because say, look at this one right here, right? Now look at that troll right there, where the waterfall is dripping off of its face, but you wouldn't know it so much so unless you were really looking at that, right? That there was a troll right there. Now, these are Japanese monsters, which are very, very interesting. And talk about mythology and talk about stories. Japanese monsters are very, very intense. And so this one right here is a giant skeleton monster, right here. This one right here is it's called a child catcher. Now that's very scary. And then there's also these also sea monsters too. Again, other sea monsters were being created in Japan, while also people in medieval times where we saw monsters being created with the dolphins and such. I see some similarities, don't you? Yeah? So, and then right here we have Bigfoot versus the Yeti, right? Now can someone tell me what the difference between a Bigfoot and a Yeti is? Okay, I'm going to pick you in the orange.
So, Bigfoot usually live in the bush. All the Yetis only live in golden climates.
Can you speak it just a little louder? I'm sorry.
Bigfoot usually live in the woods, and Yetis live in the golden climates, although they're both like huge and hairy.
They're both huge and hairy. You're right about their environments. Their environments are that the Yeti lives in cold environments, and Bigfoot lives in the woods. You had something to add? Yeah?
The Yeti lives, I forgot.
It's okay, buddy. If it comes back to you, just come right back to me, okay? You had something? Yeah?
The Yetis live in the Himalayas.
What was that?
The Yetis live in the Himalayas.
They do. They really do. And Bigfoot, so here's the other thing too. Seems like every state in the United States has a Bigfoot now, which is very interesting. You can find Bigfoot sightings up in New England. You can find Bigfoot sightings in where normally they used to be only Bigfoot sightings over by like Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon, those areas up over there, which is on the West Coast. But now people are finding Yetis in different places. There's even a Yeti not a Yeti, but a Bigfoot in Georgia, of all places. So there's a lot of different, beliefs about the Yeti, if it's true or not. A lot of people believe by finding, big footprints found in the ground. Here is this was one of the first photographs of a Bigfoot discovered. And also too, there's also a lot of these drawings, of course, of people describing what a Bigfoot is. So what's interesting too is, what I want to add with the Bigfoot is, there's also we were talking about mythology, right? So there's also this idea of, have you seen this monster? What does this monster look like? Who has seen this monster? So here we got Frankenstein Monster and Dracula and Werewolf. These are traditional sort of, book and movie monsters per se, right? We've seen them in movies. We've seen them in some, around Halloween. They're popular Halloween costumes, right? Now, could you guys describe, let's just look here. So what's interesting about these monsters are, there's a mixture, right? We've got Frankenstein, right? With Frankenstein's bride here. And that is what we would call a man-made monster, right? So that is a monster that is created by someone, right? Could be you, right? You're monster makers. And here's one Dracula, which is a monster that is created by, he was bitten by something, right? So that is by, maybe some sort of, yes, bats. Well, it's like kind of a disease, right? A viral disease, right? And so that's through Dracula, right? And then you have werewolf, which is either some cases you were bitten, in some cases you were born a werewolf, right? So that's by birth. So there's different kinds of monsters that are created, right? There's several ways that monsters could be created. So again, it's man-made, made from a virus sometimes, and also too, it's from birth, right? And so here is some where we can bring in some of the cuter monsters, right? That we all know. Monsters in books. So of course we talked about Frankenstein, right? And Dracula, but we also haven't talked about Where the Wild Things Are, Shrek, right? Shrek is a monster. Also to the Jabberwocky from Alice in Wonderland. And then also to, you guys all know Harry Potter monsters, right? So with those monsters, which is really interesting, is, right, there's a mythology within the Harry Potter books, right? Where those monsters come from, who takes care of those monsters. And here's some more movie and TV monsters here. You've got the Muppets. You've got trolls, right, from the troll movies. You've got King Kong. Now, here's one, right, Pokemon, right? Pokemon is a monster, so he falls into monsters as well. So as you see with all these different monsters, we have several different looks of monsters. There's, again, monsters with feathers. There's monsters with scales. There's several, the sizes of monsters are big and small, right? You have monsters that can change size. So today we're going to be creating our own monsters, right? And so what I want you to do today is, I want you to, okay, we're going to take a piece of paper, okay? I'm going to have you take that piece of paper, and I want you to fold it in half, okay? Just like this. Are we all set? Okay, and then take one side, right? Fold this, right, this edge, bring it right to that fold, okay? And then crease it. Okay, all set. Then we're going to do the other side, right here. And bring in that edge to the inside again, and then just crease it. And so now you should have 4 quadrants, okay? 4 folds, okay? Now what I'm going to have you do is just accordion it, okay? So 1, 2, 3, right? So make sure that all the folds, you have a paper that looks like that. Okay, and it bends down. So these sides here are ends, okay? So you just fold that in, right? Okay. All right. So what you're going to do today, now, does anyone have a problem passing a paper along to someone today?
I have hand sanitizer.
Oh, you have hand sanitizer. Margaret here has hand sanitizer. And what we're going to do is, so you're going to work with, you could work with a buddy, or, let's work with buddies. So find yourself, so you guys over here at this table, you're going to be buddies, okay? Over here, you're going to be buddies. You two are going to be buddies, okay? And William, and you guys are going to be buddies together, okay? All right, so what you're going to do first is, so the top part, right? This is going to be your monster maker today, okay? Now, I know you're looking at this and you're saying to me, well, how is this going to be a monster maker? Well, you'll see. So what you're going to do today, okay, is this top portion here is going to be the head. This second portion is going to be the neck and the shoulders, right? This here is going to be the stomach, and down here is going to be the legs, right? Legs, tail, who knows? So first, start off with the head, and everyone draw the head. So I'm going to give you guys, 6 minutes, okay? And we're going to start now. And guys, this is just practice, as Margaret was just saying, and you'll understand this exercise as we keep going, okay? But don't worry about making anything perfect. If you think your monster is not looking so good, he's looking pretty ugly, perfect, right? And these are just sketches. I should show you some of my sketches later and show you just how ugly I can make a sketch. Oh. Is it? Okay. So don't copy me, but I'm drawing my head, okay? You can draw horns, right? Big nose, right? You put eyelashes on. Also to put environments, right, in the background. So I'm going to put some clouds. I'm thinking I'm going to put a mountain in the back with a castle, right? Oh, hello. So as you do these monster drawings, think about the environments too, because your monster is going to have to live in an environment, right? It has to find a place to live in. So I think my monster lives near a castle. How's everyone doing? Good? Yeah? Terrible? I'm going to just scroll through here, just some of the monsters we talked about. Maybe you get inspired by some of them. If you guys want to use colored markers for some of your monsters, you're more than welcome to. Doesn't just have to be pencil or, black and white. That helps to understand what colors your monster might be. Okay, we have one more minute.
Okay, gang, remember, see how much space Bats took up with his drawing? Don't have to make it teeny tiny. Use as much space as possible because the rest of your monster is going to take up the remainder of the paper. So don't be stingy with your imagination.
And also, if your monster has a tiny head, see the landscape that I created here? Build a landscape too, okay? Because again, all these little things that we're drawing will add up later to our project that we're going to create, okay? Alrighty, we are all set. Excuse me, water went down the wrong way. All right, so what are we gonna do with our faces, right? We're gonna cover them, so fold it back, okay? Fold it back so that the person who's going to be working on this next does not see the face, okay? All right, so next, pass along to your partner your papers, okay? Now don't look at the face yet. I know you want to, but don't look at it just yet. All right. All right, everyone ready, right? Okay, I'm going to put the timer on and let's go on to the next part. Now this part is the neck and shoulder. This is a great place to put wings if your creature has wings, okay? If your creature has some sort of backpack or armor in the back, right? Like a shell, right? So I, of course, don't have a partner, right? So my monster, I'm just pretending that I'm a totally different person coming up with my own monster. I think this monster on this page, to me, So I'm drawing my monster here. Oh, I think he lives by the seashore here. Maybe there's an island that sometimes this turtle swims to. But it has wings, right? So it also can fly to this island as well. And I don't know, he has a friend that's a shark, maybe over here, right? Maybe he's one of those sea monsters we were looking at earlier. We'll get there. We'll get there. Now, if you're all done, go back and look at your drawing again. See what you can maybe add to it. Maybe you can add some color to it if you haven't added color to it. Now, this project that you're doing right now is something called the exquisite corpse, or also we call it here as this exquisite monster. And way back, does anyone know who Salvador Dali is? Yeah? Yep, you do? Yes. Salvador Dali was an artist. He's popular for melting clocks, right? He was part of the surrealist movement. He had a curly mustache. I'll show you an example in a little bit on my iPad of some of his work. But what's interesting about him is, so him and his artist friends used to do the same project you're doing right now. And he used to do this project to see if he can come up with interesting creatures, monsters. A lot of the things that Salvador Dali worked with were things about dreams. So sometimes he would say, create each panel being a different dream. So a lot of the surrealist artists used to work on what you're doing right now to create their own creatures. All right, we are done. We're going to move on to the next. So again, right, everyone look at me. Okay, so Monster Makers, fold this again. All right, we have 2 panels left. Now bring them back to your partner in exchange. If any of you need hand sanitizer, just ask Margaret, okay? And we're going to start now. So now this part right here is going to be the stomach area, okay? This area is the torso. So think of, is your monster, a big monster? Is your monster have, a tiny little monster, tiny little monster waist? Does your monster have arms? So this is where you're going to bring arms into your, into this too. So does your monster have 2 arms? Does your monster have 5 arms? Think about hands. Does your monster have claws? Does your monster have, we were looking at some of the sea monsters before. Some of them had, lobster claws. Some of them had, arms that looked like, they were bird claws, right? So there's different ways of doing hands. Think of different things you can do. So again, I'm going to pretend that I am someone else creating another monster and come up with some So as we saw some of the movie monsters, right? We could also give these monsters some clothes too, right? So you saw Monsters Inc., right? Where you have monsters who are wearing everyday people clothes, right? You know, like in the movie Shrek, is your monster a princess by day, like Fiona, and turns into a monster, right? You know, that could be happening too with your monsters. There's a lot of different things you could do, right? I'm very excited to see what you guys are creating. And when we're all done, right, Margaret, we're going to have everyone present in the front? Okay, great. Okay, one more minute. Also think about fur and texture. You know, think about the idea that, you know, your monster has what kind of fur? Does the monster have fur that has patterns in it? Like we're the Wild Things monsters, right? They have patterns in their fur. Think about the idea of scales. What does a scale look like? Is it a circular scale? Is it a diamond-shaped scale? You know, think about the different types of scales a monster might have, your monster might have. Alrighty, we're coming up close. Alrighty, we're all set. We're going to move on to the next one. This is the last one. So you should be able to just fold it over to just like this. All right. And then you're going to, this is the last page, so then exchange it with your partner.
Yep, legs, tail, fins.
Also think about what your monster eats. Or in this case, we're going to talk about with the fact that the monster, what is your monster walking on? Because this part right here is the feet, right? So maybe your monster crawls. Maybe your monster swims. Think about what your monster is walking on or swimming on. So think about tails, right? So think about, like, so I'm thinking, I kind of want my monster to have several squiddy tails, right? I want my monster to kind of like crawl on land and mostly be in the water, right? I want him to sort of suck onto things so that he can climb up things or hang off things. Now I draw pretty fast, but you don't have to draw that fast though. These are my squiddy legs. Now also think about too your environment of these monsters too. When you look at the final monster, right, which is coming up close, you're going to say to yourself, all right, well, what am I going to do with this monster? We're going to get to that next. All right, one more minute. Is everyone doing okay?
That's the tricky part of this. Little confusion about why you can't see the other part and what that's supposed to be.
Yes.
Come on.
I can say. All right. You should be done. All right. So now bring it back to the original person, to your partner. Okay? And do not open it up yet, okay? Just show the legs. No opening it up yet. Okay? No opening it up yet. Now, usually I have people pass these around to several other people, but today is a different story because, right, of COVID. But, you know, you'll still get the really cool effect of this, okay? So open up your monsters now. Slowly. Okay, look at the screen, my monster here. It's going, what's happening here? What's happening here? Right? Oh, we just see my water. So, how do we? Well, maybe you guys can also see here too, right? So,
I can fix that. You want me to fix that?
right? So that's pretty cool, right? What we're seeing here,
There.
right? Okay, like these are very different monsters, right? They're very different. They have many different textures there should be. There should be very different bodies. And the thing that's really cool about this is, you know, we look at this, our monsters, and we can pick and choose how we want to go with our monster too, right? This may not be the monster that you create today or in the next few days, but this is just a stepping point for you to think about ways of doing different monsters, right? But I always like to create what I see with how this is created, because look at how cool these are, right? All right, I would like to, Margaret, how do we,
I'll throw one up to you every, at a time.
okay, great. Is it okay if I fix the,
I think it's automatically done.
okay. All
How
right.
do you want to display the first one?
All right, so here's the first one. This is very cool. Now, whose monster is this? Wonderful. This is very cool. Now, are these star shoes? These are very cool.
I don't like it.
Well, you know what? Find something on here that you like, right? And create the monster from there, okay? Find a segment that you like on here, okay? Great. And look at this right here. So we got like a devil with a halo right here. We have some very tight underpants, it seems. And we have him with wings, and he looks like he walks on land. Thank you. Okay, whoa, this is pretty rad here. Okay, look at this here. So we got this very cool face, look at that face. And I like that you are making this monster have some human clothes, right? So I guess it walks around with amongst humans, right? Now, and also too, this monster has tentacles and swims in the water as well. So look at these tentacles right here. Look at those. Fantastic. And that's what's great too, is that you have these here. They're kind of like blueprints, right? For when you're creating different creatures. Oh wow, this is very, very, very cool. I also like that this monster has some humor, right? So look right here. Now what's very interesting about this monster too is I don't know if this is the insides of the monster, which we could see through, like, you know how you see some jellyfish, right, that are iridescent, right? You can see their organs and whatnot. But looking at that, that's very cool. Very, very cool. Now I like so here's something really interesting too, is this monster maker chose to write certain things like a nightmare, creepy, 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 something scary, something, I don't know. And I like that there's notes here, right? Because what do you think those people who were finding sea monsters, right? They were writing the same things too, right? They were writing things like, scary, water comes out of a spout, those types of things. Oh, this is very cool. So this is a dog face, right? Look at that monster. So it's kind of like a dog face, like a werewolf kind of creature. Now I have a question for you guys. I am seeing some weapons in with some of your monsters. If you can, try to stay away from weapons, okay? Just because monsters kind of have their own weapons, right, with claws and teeth, right? So I want to see more of that. No weapons, okay? I say weapons are a cop-out. All right. Now this is pretty, whoa. Okay, so this one here, I had to take this in. This one is very interesting. Right here. I believe they live at a school. Is that true? Lives at a school or a very big building with lots of people in it, or maybe lots of monsters? Maybe an apartment building, right? That's right. Right? And it looks like they have a lot of a monstrous ability, like physicalities, right? But also pretty human looking, right? Oh, and I love the arms in this one here. Look at that. It's like the dancing ballerina monster. Right? And is that all, Margaret? Yeah, we're all set. All right, so everyone, you have your monsters, correct? Or you should, yeah? So today what we're going to be doing, right, for the rest of the class, we have about 45 minutes. We're going to also be working on these, this next step tomorrow, okay? And then we're also going to be working on the next step tomorrow, after this one. But the step that we're going to do is we're going to create this monster in a three-dimensional form, okay? So the monsters that you have, again, you may not like the monster that you have, but pick at least 2 segments that you like in your monster creation, okay? So if you like the head of your monster, work on the head of your monster, but you have to create the rest of the things, right? So you have to create, the legs and everything else. But I want you to at least pick 2 of the things that you like about your monster, okay? Now, when you're creating your things, now, they don't have to be pretty. These are monsters. Monsters don't have to be pretty, right? And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using a lot of recycled materials right here. And Margaret did a fantastic job of putting together all of this fantastic stuff. So let's give Margaret an applause, right, everyone? And so we have over there, we have googly eyes, we have pipe cleaners, we have everything you can think of. You could use this part as a body, you could use this as a neck, you could use a lot of different parts of these things for your creation, okay? Now I'm gonna be up here and you're gonna watch me, I'm gonna make some different things up here, okay? So like if you are trying to figure out how to make, I don't know, a 3-dimensional sphere, right? I'm gonna make that up here. You can see how I can do that. And you can pick some things that I'm doing as I'm doing them up here as part of your project as well. But don't copy me, okay? All right, so, Margaret, how are you gonna, just every... 2 at a time. 2 at a time. Okay, so everyone 2 at a time. But look over your creatures right now and just think about your creatures. Write down where you want your creature to live.
Right now, where you want your creature to live.
Okay, you're gonna need this tomorrow, okay? Write down where you think your creature lives, what your creature eats. These are things that you're gonna be talking about in the next day or so when you come up and present your monsters, okay? But think about where they live. Does your monsters have any enemies, right? Monsters have enemies, right? So think about the enemies that your monster has. Think about where does your monster come from a family, right? Are there other monsters within the group of monsters? Is there, like wolves, do they live in a den of monsters? Or is it just, you're the only monster in the entire world, it's just that monster?
Come back again, but I want to give everybody else time to. Like when you think of me, what else do you want? Tissue paper, okay.
All right, thank you. Now, I will say googly eyes are really difficult, right? To get stuck on, just to stick on right. So Megan right here, right, Megan? Megan is gonna be here. She's got the hot glue gun, okay? Come one at a time and show Megan where you want your googly eyes, okay? Or anything else that you want super glued. But just come at one at a time, okay? Now here's something too that you could do. You could take a bottle cap right here, right? So, bottle cap right here. All right, and then you can glue, right? The googly eye onto the cap. And so now you have a three-dimensional eyeball, kind of. Right?
You can always come up and get more later. Yeah, this is just a start.
I think I might know. What are you looking for, Dad?
Now I'm going to show you how to make a sphere. Now, how many have made like lanterns before? You ever made a lantern? Okay, so this is kind of like the way that you make a lantern. So as you can see, right? Okay, there we are. So as you can see, I just come here, I fold my paper over, I pierce the paper here with my scissor, and then I just cut up.
Oh no, I'm falling behind.
All right, so you have like this right here. Now here's what you can do.
Ooh, that looks like a lantern. Is that a lantern?
So what you can do with this too is you can make your body of your creature like this, right? And you can glue it here and here. I'm gonna have Megan glue this for me. Here you go, Megan.
Take as much as you want. What you don't want, you just return.
All right. So Megan's gonna glue that for me. And then I'm gonna show you another cool thing you can do with that.
I have a small hand. Aha, this is what I need.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. You can choose strips of paper, right? So here's something you can also do. You can weave, right, the paper into
People over here too.
I'm gonna go grab some supplies of my own.
Okay, I challenge you.
Ooh, okay. These are fun. Oh, I totally know what I'm gonna do with that. Ooh, we do.
Guys, I can only have 2 to 3 at the table at one time because of the distancing. Just take a seat, okay? Let me get some for you. Bug eyes and you can put Disney liner with lots of different texture for skin and scales, wings. And I suggest you take as much as you want.
So also too, you can weave, right? You can weave in paper, right? Hey Megan, could you glue, see this right here, if you could just glue that right there. Also too, you can make your monster hang, okay? So if you want to make your monster float, you can make your monster float too. It doesn't have to sit on the table. Your monster can hang from the table with some pipe cleaners, right? Now look at what I did with the eye here. I glued the eye, right, to the bottle cap, and I have attached the pipe cleaner, right? So you can make these like kind of like, alien antenna, right? Now I had Megan, very nicely, thank you Megan, put a little, there was this very cool thing right here, right? And then we can have a pig nose, right? Do you see the pig nose? So as you can see here, right, we can put this with a cup, right? And look what we got here. We have a squid pig, right? Now guys, one at a time right here at the glue station, okay? All right, so you could do all kinds of things here. Yeah, you like that? Did you see what I did here? See the eyeball? Is that wild? Yeah?
And then I have tiny squares. Never fails. Everybody has markers at this table.
Oh, great.
So let's announce it.
Tanisha? Tanisha. Could you grab me some, maybe red or pink construction paper?
This is so fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'm going to show you how to make a rolled up tongue. Okay. You know what? They won't even let me use the glue gun. They have to tell me I have to. Megan has to do it for me. It's true. It's true. All right. So you have a mouth here, right? Like cut out here, the mouth, right, to have an opening. Where are we? There we are. All right. Take here, fold. Fold. Now, and with your tongue, right? Put a little slit at the bottom, like a dragon or a snake, right? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna tape these together. Right, so you have a very long tongue, right? Do you guys, monster makers, look up here? Look at this tongue, right? So, right, you're gonna take the tongue, right? And you have your thing here, right? So we're gonna make it so this tongue comes out, okay? So, what you're gonna do is you're gonna roll it up, right? Use a Sharpie, roll it up, or any marker that you got. How's everyone doing with their creations? Does anyone need help? No? Now we have 15 minutes. If we could maybe today just have the basic sort of structure of your monster done today, because tomorrow we're going to finish them up halfway through the class, okay? Now, what you're going to do is you're going to slip this in right here, right? I need you to step back just a little bit, okay? All right, you're going to slip it through here. Now look at that mouth we've got here, right? You guys see? Monster makers, do you see? You can make a mouth with a tongue that comes out, right? And then it comes out, and then you can roll it back up. Okay? So you can do that. I'm going to ask Megan nicely. Megan, can you just glue that in for me? Thank you. So from up here, I'm seeing some things coming along very nicely. Perfect, thank you. Now, if you are wanting to bring in stuff, Margaret, is anyone able to bring in some found objects that they want to bring in? Be it, oh, we lost an eye. Here we go. Thanks, Megan. If you want to bring in anything tomorrow, like if you have some construction paper that you would like to share with us, you're more than welcome to bring that in. If you have glitter, we try not to do glitter, but if you have like construction paper or any art supplies that you have, bring in and we can maybe use. Also too, if you want to say, for instance, you're like, you know what, I don't like the way the shape my body is being created, but I know that I have a bottle at home that's like the perfect shape for that monster body, bring that bottle in tomorrow. Just make sure it's not glass, okay? Also, too, Margaret, is it possible if anyone wants to take their monster home tomorrow to work on to bring in back on Thursday? Do they think that's okay?
Yes, it's their monster.
Yeah. So if you want to bring in your monster home tomorrow night to work on a little more, because tomorrow we're having half the class making the monster, and then tomorrow the rest of the class is going to be story making, okay? So if you feel your monster isn't looking so good and you want some extra time, you can bring your monster home to work on it, but you have to bring it back on Thursday, okay? Ooh, I like what you did with the eyes there. Ooh.
Okay, my coworker Taisha has a great recommendation. She says, make everything secure. Attach it tightly. We're going to be moving these projects at the end of the class. We don't want them to fall apart as we put them away and store them for you. So if you need extra glue dots, extra glue, extra hot glue, just let us know and we will work on that.
And if they fall apart for some reason tomorrow, we can glue things back on, okay? And like I said, if you want to take them home tomorrow to work on just a little bit more, you're more than welcome to, but you have to bring them back on Thursday. Now here's, like this monster right here. Right? The monster with the tongue. Seeing some really inventive ways of construction. Yeah, you have a question? Yeah, you can show your partner your monster right now, yeah. And again, as you're working on these, think about, again, your environments. Also think about the story of your monster. Does your monster, is your monster an old monster? Is your monster a new monster? Think about where your monster lives. Say where in the United States your monster lives, or where in the world your monster lives, or the universe. I'm sorry, Margaret, you're right. We forgot the universe. Because monsters are also aliens, right?
Oh, blue paper. Okay, I get it. Yeah. It's okay, I don't need it.
And also, too, if you want to, you could put environments around your monster. Now, I've had some students come into class and they've created little food for their monster made little monster food packaging and, monster, cereal and that sort of thing. Think about what you can do for your monster. Maybe there's a bed that you can make for your monster, right? Does your monster sleep above on the bed or under the bed? Now also too, think of these, they have to be in three-dimensional form, so I don't want to see any just flat monsters, okay? I want to see some monsters with some form, okay?
Okay.
Now, does anyone read graphic novels? Raise your hand. Got one. Does anyone read comic books? Okay, great. All right, and everyone has read a picture book, right? All right. Now again, class, no weapons, right? Your monster has no weapons. The only weapons the monster have are what?
Claws.
Teeth. Yep. Claws. What else could the monster use? What does the monster use as their defense, right? Yep, they can use their tail. I don't, Camouflage, that's a great weapon, right? All right. Are we on time? We have, looks like 8 more minutes, okay?
I gave him a little thing.
Wow, these are looking like some great monsters, everyone. And you're also utilizing all different types of materials, which I'm really excited about. You have all of this stuff over here, everyone, so if you want to use something that's different that you haven't used before, play around with it. We have so much stuff over here that Margaret has done such a great job of putting together. There's some really good stuff. And like I said too, tonight, if you go home and you go with your parents and you look to see what you have around the house that you could use. What was that? You can buy stuff if you like, yeah. But, also just, when you go home, go with your parents and say, oh, I want to use, maybe this bottle for something, or these bottle caps for this or that. And you can bring them in tomorrow. If you have some extra, that'd be great, to share with some of the other classmates. That would be awesome. All right, after you're done getting glued, we're going to have one little discussion before we leave, okay?
Want it straight?
So Megan is about to glue one of the last projects here, and we're gonna stop, okay? And then I just need your attention, Monster Makers, okay?
So you're making a monster frame?
I'm seeing some very, very creative stuff with the things you made. I'm very excited to see what you guys do tomorrow to finish things up. All right, so Monster Makers, listen to me real quick, okay? What are you guys going to do tomorrow? What are we bringing in tomorrow? Some stuff from home, maybe, yeah?
Bunch of markers.
Well, if you want to bring in your markers, you're more than welcome to. But like I said, bring in things like found objects, like bottles, plastic bottles, no glass bottles, just things around the house that you can use, and ask your parents, okay, or guardians. And then also too, think about what we're going to think about tonight while we think about our monsters.
Bringing stuff.
Well, But what are we gonna think about? We're gonna think about what? Our monster's environment, right? So here, I'm gonna write this down real quick. Think about your monster's environment, right? Right, or home. Think about, again, what kind of family does your monster have, right? Think about, where does your monster live in the world or the universe? Think about, right, what does your monster live in a family? What kind of family does your monster live in? Think about all these things tonight when you're thinking about your monsters, okay? And then write them down. Just jot down where you think your monster lives, what kind of family your monster has, where in the world your monster lives, what does it eat? Think about tonight when you're eating dinner, what would your monster be eating for dinner tonight? Okay? Is your monster a monster that lives during the day, goes out during the day, or does your monster go out during the night? Does your monster not sleep at all? It's always awake.
That would be bad.
That would be terrible. Maybe your monster naps a little bit, right? So just think about all these different things when you're thinking about your monsters tomorrow, because when you come in tomorrow, we're gonna work really hard tomorrow. We have a lot to cover tomorrow, but it's gonna be really fun. Okay?
Okay, monster makers and Bats Langley monster creator, it's time to clean up. We'll see you again tomorrow. The program will start at 10 a.m. for Camp Explore Monster Laboratory. We will take care of your project, and if you have a set of materials you want to keep on hand, I have baggies for everybody to put things in. Thanks again, everybody, for coming, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.